him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 17 of the BJJ Campaign Podcast, otherwise known as the birthday episode. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3, blue belt, one stripe.
This is Phil Kors, A2, white belt, 4 stripes.
So, Philly, today is my birthday. It's my 48th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. And so, we're going to talk about some tips for the older grappler.
Mm-hmm. What have you been doing to be able to train like 4 or 5 days a week? That's such an advanced and experienced age.
I mean, Phil, it's not that advanced. I'm 48 years old. I'm not dead.
Yeah. Yet.
Yeah, good point. I'm over halfway there, statistics say. For those of you that don't know, I started at age 46, right?
Yeah.
46 training. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, in all seriousness, you know, for the older grappler, we got plenty of them where we are, right? And all over. I mean, people are training at every age today. I see, you know, these 70-year-olds training. You know, Professor Jim West, which is one of Doug's professors. I think he's 73 years old. Granted, he looks like he's 45. He's a black belt. He's a world champion in judo, and you know, he trains 4 or 5 days a week, which is ultimately, I would love to be doing that when I'm 73. But there are things that you do have to do in order to do that, and I think that we've hit on things before, like diet and supplements, but I want to reiterate that, you know, for the past 2 years I've been on an anti-inflammatory diet, or the ketogenic diet, and I think that helps a lot with not having inflammatory processes going on in my body, so that I recover quicker. I think also it goes to the endurance part of what we're doing, because that's so important. And you've been experimenting with that lately, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen? I mean, listen, you're not old. You're a baby. You're 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Have you seen any benefit from that, or maybe some of the other things that we've been discussing that you formerly didn't listen to but now have?
I've ignored quite a bit. Yeah, I have a lot of digestive issues.
Folks, that's very mild. He's like that of a baby with colic.
I can't have any milk either. Yeah, it's very applies. Yeah. So it seemed to help out a little bit with kind of calming everything down. And shout out to Carrie for the kombucha recommendation. I will give Jeff 0 credit.
Yeah, obviously, wasn't me.
And the brand is, I mean, that stuff tastes like candy to me. I love how good that is. I drink it about every other day.
Tell the listeners what the brand was, because I forgot it.
Suja, I think. I think it's like Suja.
Suja, the lemon one? Lemon?
No, it's green. It's like green apple, I think they call it. It like tastes. I think it's a Granny Smith. I mean, it literally tastes just like it. It's delicious. Really good. But all that stuff seemed to help a little bit, and that's just also seems to help. It's tough to tell now, because this is the worst time of the year for my skin with how dry it is, because I have psoriasis also, to just kind of keep on complaining here.
Really a lot of autoimmune issues, though.
But cleaning up I've always said this, I've gone to dermatologists for a long time, and nothing ever worked, but I ate terribly.
Give an example of what I
used to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was it would be a lot of coffee, and then into fast food, like either Cookout or
That's great for you.
Wendy's,
Yeah.
pizza, whatever. And then I would drink beer, and it was terrible, and the skin was awful. And it wasn't until I kind of cut all of that out that the skin actually improved. So I think the diet, the dermatologist definitely helped, and it still flares up when it's cold. Or I showed you when I had the ankle injury. The psoriasis flares up around the ankle. It's weird how it happens, but like that's where it's the worst right now.
I thought that was crazy too. That where around where your injury was,
Yeah.
which you had previously no really outbreak of psoriasis around that.
Well, it's always been in the area, but it wasn't like kind of raised up,
Mhm.
like how it gets when it gets really dry and bad.
Mhm.
If I have any sort of injury kind of thing, cuts are apparently a internal one now too, which is weird. It'll flare up right at that area, and I just think that's funny. But curious to see how if it continues to help. Just eating real food made a huge difference, and I'm trying to see if the keto style diet helps with everything else. I don't feel any of the flu stuff that I've heard about that you mentioned.
Keto flu.
Yeah, I feel fine, but I feel like I was eating pretty close to that to begin with. The only time I hadn't had pasta in a very long time, some rice I would eat, and bread here and there, but
Some rice, Phil, you would eat
just a bag.
giant bag
It's
of
just a
rice
bag.
at 11:30 every night, right before bed, so you could sleep.
It worked though.
That
It's really good.
Oh, it worked.
Yeah. For sleeping.
Okay. All right. Good. Now that we've clarified that.
But funny you mentioned that, like with me doing all that complaining. What I was getting at, talking to you earlier about being a little bit older, and training 4 or 5 days a week is, man, a really common thing I always hear with people is like when I'm like, I'll just ask like, are you coming tomorrow? And I don't mean anything by it. I'm just talking. Like I don't really talk about anything else other than jiu-jitsu. So that's usually my only questions I ask people is, when are you coming back? And they'll,
And do you want to roll then?
yeah. So a lot of times that I'll hear, I'm too old or this and that, and I'm I see and they're the same age as you or right around it, and I think it says a lot about number one, you never complain about being old. I remind you of it very often, but you don't complain about it, and and the choices you make to support what you're trying to do, and how you live to make sure you can train 4 or 5 days a week because that's what you want to do. I mean,
Well,
that's good.
and Philly, it certainly beats the alternative.
Yes.
The alternative being dead.
Yeah.
I'd rather be old.
It's true.
Right? So yeah, thank you. That is very kind, and I do, I mean, I think we show it every day. We are committed to doing this and to furthering our campaign and to getting better. And in order to get better, then you have to train with purpose, but also you have to be healthy while you're training, and to have a good diet, meaning an anti-inflammatory diet, all those things that you just mentioned, which is cut out the processed foods, anything other than whole foods, and cut everything out, and then also cut the sugar out. It's toxic to your body. It's a drug. It's not good for you, and you're going to feel better whenever you train, and especially on the occasion when I do drink, because I didn't cut that out altogether, but it's funny because whenever I do, and maybe I only have 3 or 4 drinks, but the next day I'm like, this is awful, and then I punish myself, and then I go to jiu-jitsu anyway because I did it to myself,
Mm-hmm.
to show that, hey, this is kind of the consequence of that action. Now, again, everything in moderation, including moderation. So just it kind of goes to treating your body right, and it will reward you with being able to train 4 or 5 days a week because you're not injured. getting your recovery right. You know, a big step in that is the amount of sleep that you get. You know, I've been very conscious of that, and I have, for the listeners, I also have sleep apnea, so just making sure that I sleep with my CPAP, positive air pressure, and try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. That's made a big difference too. You know, that means sometimes getting to bed a little earlier, and that's what you do. I mean, I think you've experienced that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've never been one of the people who could like function with low sleep, or like they brag about it. And that's just not me. Like if I'm on 5 hours of sleep, I'm dumber than normal, and in a bad mood. Like I don't like it.
And we don't have that much margin for that dumber than normal.
It's not. Yeah, it's tight.
But other things that, and I've recommended this book before. I think his name's Robert Stark. Is his name?
It's definitely Stark.
Brian Stark. Some. I'll look it up. But it's the Zen Jiu-Jitsu over 40 book, and the whole Zen Jiu-Jitsu series, really. But it's an audiobook, very short listen. I think it's less than 2 hours. But really gives you good training advice, and he is obviously over 40. I think now he's a brown belt. I think he trains with Henzo, but I'm not sure.
I feel like he's in the first book I heard. He specifically said it's not his real name, and he doesn't want to say where he trains.
Oh, maybe okay.
I feel like
I totally made that up then.
Yeah.
I don't know where he trains, but he trains in New York.
Okay.
I know that because he does live in New York. But also, with the injuries, because I have had some injuries, right? It was, when was it? It was in July. Was it July this past year?
With the rib thing?
No, not the rib, the knee. Or June?
No, it wasn't last year. Your PRP thing?
Yeah.
No, it was before I knew you.
Oh, was it? Okay, so you started in October, so I think it was June of the year before. So, geez, almost
It was 17.
yeah, almost a year and a half. But and just speaking to this, I saw, folks, if you go to a surgeon to get your knee checked out, guess what?
They want to do surgery.
Yeah, that's what they do. If you
hammer. So.
yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, if you go to a lot looking at a car, they're going to try to sell you a car, right? Even though you just want to look. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
So, maybe not the best analogy. However, it is true. And so, what I would say is seek any alternative method you can for treatment of injuries. Again, if I would have went to a surgeon for my knee, they would probably wanted to do surgery on my knee. However, I saw alternative methods. I would ice it, and I took that as far as I could go with it. I took the natural anti-inflammation stuff, the ginger, the turmeric, the MSM, the chondroitin, all that stuff. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and that didn't help either. And just for the audience, my knee, after I would do jiu-jitsu, and I would come home and I would, take a shower and then sit down for, 5 minutes. I literally couldn't straighten my knee again. It would just lock up. Mm-hmm. And so it finally got to the point where I had to do something. And luckily, I did find a place that does both PRP, platelet-rich plasma injections, and stem cells. And I'm going to say it again. I think we made this abundantly clear in previous episodes. Neither Phil nor I are doctors. So
right.
Please do not take medical advice from us. Just maybe take advice from us and seek medical advice on your own.
Yeah, just kind of look into it maybe.
Yeah, look into it. That's what every brother does.
It is.
He looks into it. But so I did, and I decided on doing PRP because they said they were very upfront and said stem cell probably won't hurt or won't help. It won't hurt, but it probably won't help, and it's much more expensive, right? This is kind of a cash procedure that they're doing. And so I opted for the PRP shot in my knee, and the doctor, shout out to Dr. Altizer, great guy. I think he might curse more than Kurt Osiander. I like the guy. He's a good dude. But he said, all right, you're going to have to take 2 weeks off. I was like, I'll give you a week. And he said, what is it with you jiu-jitsu guys? His son is a purple belt and trains at the Lucas Celebrity School in Charlotte. And he said, okay, so take a week off and then just go back and do fundamentals, no rolling for 2 weeks. So that's actually what I followed. I did, at the time I did go in, I did take my notes, and I did watch and follow class, and so that was very helpful. But here I am a year and a half later, and my knee feel is 100%. Now it took me to be 100%. It took about 2 to 3 months for that, but a wonderful experience with what would be deemed as alternative kind of therapy.
Yeah. I mean, how long is the knee surgery? 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. At least 3 to 6 months, right? I mean, John Shell's going through it now with his, I think, what was it, ACL?
Both. It was everything.
It was everything.
Either both in one or both legs, like one of each in each leg. I can't remember.
Surprised they didn't just cut it off.
Yeah, just new ones.
Yeah.
Get a Olympian guy with the blades.
Yeah. Shout out to John Shell. Hope he gets better. It looks like he's getting better fast because he's been all around. But so that's one alternative therapy. Other things like cryotherapy. I haven't tried that. I really want to. I can't remember who I saw on Facebook yet. Oh, Vernon Kirk was doing cryotherapy.
The broken foot guy?
Yeah.
From Toro Cup?
Yeah.
The judo.
The drop Seonagi, reverse drop Seonagi that put the guy on his head.
Yeah.
But he's actually doing cryotherapy. I saw it the other day on Facebook in one of his posts, and I would love to experiment with that, see what that's all about. Have you ever done it?
No.
No.
I don't even know what it is.
So, all right, good. So cryotherapy, they sit you in this little pod, right? And they get, I don't know what they actually get it down to, but it's like almost absolute zero, which is minus 273 degrees. I'm not sure how close to that it is. I may be making all of this up.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm sure somebody will tell us, or maybe I'll even look it up later.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put it in the show notes or something. But it's really cold, and you do. I think like max time that you do is like 3 minutes in it. I heard about it first, I think, on Joe Rogan. He does it, but and it's supposed to, obviously formulate cold shock proteins that help your body get rid or promotes cell autophagy of the bad cells that aren't doing anything good for you. So I think that's what the cryotherapy is about. And
it's a fancy ice bath.
Fancy ice, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should just do the ice
You've been
bath.
saying it since you did it.
I know, I loved it. Shout out Aaron Sundstrom, Origin. He did ice baths for everyone, and I felt like $1 million the day after, and I should have by all rights been hungover. Was I hungover?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were.
But I wasn't sore. I was hungover, but I wasn't sore. You're right. Last night at Origin, immersion jiu-jitsu camp, we kind of cut loose. Phil, you had like 3 or 4 coffees that night, didn't you?
I was in bed very early.
Thank God somebody had to drive to the airport. So that, I think something that another thing that for the older grappler or any grappler, and again, folks, have to be old to start these types of things. You know, you might not see as much benefit as you would if you were older, but you definitely will see benefit. But another thing that John started at Fight to Win Denver is the stretching after we train.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I think it's making a big difference. I was having a lot of issues like right between my shoulder blades, like below my neck, just feeling tight all the time. Like I could almost feel it. Just like if I took a deep breath, I could feel it. It was really annoying. And Blake was popping it all the time, and I would try to do what I could to kind of pop it, but obviously something bigger was going on than just that. So Blake had showed me like 1 or 2 or 3 stretches. Try to expand the chest opposite of how I'm curled up in the guard, and then
shoulders back, right? Stretching,
Yeah.
decompressing.
That's helped. And then John stretches all the stuff with the hips and things. The hips have felt better for me for a long time. I think I just had no flexibility there when I started, but those are really good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I've been doing the kind of the I think it's on YouTube Mobility for BJJ. I can't remember the guy who does it, but I've been doing some of those stretches because my flexibility, let's say, is less than stellar.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, you laughed at me whenever I was stretching and leading the
I was
stretching.
laughing with you.
It was at me, Phil.
It was with you. You were laughing.
I was laughing. It's pretty funny. I was like, I said,
Man, I don't know how it just hit me, but you were just leading the stretching, and I'm just looking around, and you see like Gavin, he can like fold his legs behind his head, and Ashley does everything just insane, you know. And then look around, and Jeff's halfway to the stretch he's telling us to do, and he's leading it.
and then, folks, he proceeded to laugh and mock me, and I said, Phil, what's so funny? And he says, the least flexible guy is leading the stretches. And that was actually hilarious and true. But it has helped a lot with my hip flexor mobility and just mobility in general, and help my overall movements in all the positions. So highly recommend stretching. And you kind of hit on the other thing that I wanted to hit on, and that is that, you know, we're training's hard. We're beating up our bodies, you know, and so to treat your body to massage, which I like, and also with Dr. Blake Kaysen, the On-Site Alliance, plug there for Blake and his business. Chiropractic, you know, he came to the house yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I told you after he adjusted me. And listen, I know everybody, Joe Rogan's not a big fan of chiropractic. That's fine, but for me personally, my hip mobility and my low back mobility has at least tripled since Blake's been working with me, and I think it's certainly a combination of the massage, the stretching, and the chiropractic. I think it's super important. You, Dr. Blake, adjusts you as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, very helpful for that kind of preventive maintenance.
Yeah, that stuff's always hard. Like, it's the same thing that I'll tell you, like, with supplement stuff. It's like, you know, you can't see it necessarily, so it's hard to tell exactly how much it's doing or what exactly is working. So I'm always playing with different stuff to just kind of try to see what happens, but consistently trying to train at least 5 days a week and spar most of those days.
Which days do you take off of sparring?
Alright, sparring 5 days a week if I can. You know, if I don't take any supplements or don't get adjusted and stuff like that, I just kind of feel worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, I take a bunch of random stuff, it seems, but kind of it's working, so I'm not going to mess with it. But yeah, I can see why people will be hesitant because, you know, again, you can't see it, you don't know, and it's sometimes it takes a while to kind of get the benefit, I guess, you know, like I had lower back issues that used to be a lot worse than they are now. just kind of takes a while of, I guess, lining stuff up to see the benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to kind of go through some of the supplements that I think you and I both use. Maybe you don't use all of them, but krill oil for joint lubrication.
I've taken it.
And elasticity.
I just do fish oil now.
You do because you like the taste of it.
Yeah, I take the liquid form.
It's terrible.
It's not terrible. You've never tried it.
I would never will.
Yeah. Well, that's
I mean, it's
because
fish oil.
Yeah.
It sounds disgusting. Take it in a pill.
you should open your mind and try new foods.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough. I'll take a swig of it.
There you go. You don't take a swig. That's actually really gross.
Oh.
I did it once. That's terrible. You put it in the water and you don't taste it.
You chug the water?
It's like a teaspoon, like a amount. I mean, I just pour it in, but like you're supposed to take like a teaspoon, and it's a very small amount.
Do you hold your nose and chug the water, or do you just drink it?
With the apple cider vinegar, yeah, not with the fish oil. Fish oil is nothing.
Cider vinegar is not bad.
Your mouth is just broken.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. It's old, right? I have no more taste buds. What do you lose? Like 50% of your taste buds after 40 or something. I made that. That was totally made up. By the way, I think there is something to that, but I have no idea on the percentages. But so yeah, so the krill oil or fish oil for joint lubrication, elasticity, ginger, turmeric for anti-inflammatory processes, MSM, chondroitin for cartilage and joint health, ashwagandha. I don't remember. Oh, that was for the.
I haven't taken that in a while.
Have you not?
No.
Yeah, that was for the. Can't remember what the ashwagandha was for. I take it.
It did a bunch of stuff. I honestly don't remember right now, but I haven't had that one in a while. The curcumin, I don't know how to say it. That one and turmeric I take a lot. The fish oil, the vitamin D. I'll stick the valerian root. It's supposed to help with like sleeping and stuff and like relaxing muscles.
Okay, cool. And also PQQ. I can't remember something.
Yeah, I ran out of that stuff.
That was for mitochondrial biogenesis, which is a fancy term for building the building blocks that actually build your cells. So that's kind of the regimen. I think that's. Oh, and the nootropic, the mushrooms.
Lion's mane?
Lion's mane.
Yeah,
That's
those
right.
are supposed to be good. That guy on
Cordyceps mushrooms. That's it.
Yeah, he was talking all about those. Like they were really good. I take them.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those. I don't know if it's doing anything, but I have them now. So until I run out, and then I'll see what happens when I run out.
I'll tell you what. Cognitively, I felt sharper whenever I take them.
That's what the 8 cups of coffee are for.
Good point, Phil. Caffeine is a nootropic as well. Just can't handle that. Might have some things to do with your gut issues too.
Yeah. That doesn't help.
Yeah, sure it doesn't. So yeah, I mean, listen, folks, leave us your comments on the Facebook page or on Instagram if you got other tips, because
dude, I try them all. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't take much to sell me on trying something.
Yeah, CBD oil, good stuff. But yeah, leave us your comments on the website or on the Facebook page, BJJ Campaign Podcast, and let us know what you're doing for recovery, for prevention, for anything that helps you train more or keeps you regular at training. Very good. So I also wanted to talk about, I got to train this week with, I think I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Mazi. I think he's a 3rd degree black belt, Hoist Gracie black belt at Chapel Hill Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And that's where our buddy Austin trains. It was an awesome night. It was a fundamentals class and like 30 minutes of positional sparring, and then an advanced class and like 45 minutes of sparring.
It's a cool setup. I like how that sounds.
I loved it. It was like 3.5 hours, and there was a lot of upper belts there. Really do, but I want to talk about, because you kind of had a similar experience this week as well. I want to talk about the what in the fundamentals class. Certainly, we did the techniques, but one of the things that we did in the warm up was he had us one person. Well, he had us in close guard, right? And the person on top trying to maintain their base, the person on bottom trying to break that maintenance of the base without the use of the hands on either part.
Okay, yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Weird. On both sides, that's kind of
so
tough.
So no hands on the top?
So no hands on the top until the second round of the kind of drilling, which was the top person could use their hands, but the bottom person couldn't.
Okay.
To break it. So it was interesting, and the point behind the exercise was timing.
Yeah.
And
man, because in that same drill, John did the flower sweep to me. I mean, we went over the flower sweep Monday, and then Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday night, we were doing that one-handed drill. And I mean, John and Lee have done this to me 4,000 times. Lee does it repetitively to me. It's frustrating because I know what's coming.
It's funny to see.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second I put because I put the wrong leg in first. I need to widen the outside leg first. But I put that center leg in, and they just immediately flower sweep it. And then I try to do it. Nothing. It doesn't do it. But yeah, that timing, that's cool.
Yeah, no, and so also the third part of that drill was there's a part 3 and a part 4, which I love that we took a lot of the time on these drills. Was that the person in your guard, they would then put one foot up, and as it's still the top person could use their hands, the bottom person could not, and right at that moment, whenever their weight shifted to put that 1 foot up, that's whenever you do the motion of pulling your legs back to break the posture of
pull in.
Yeah, you pull your legs up and in, and also he noted that whenever they do that, to have your you have your legs clasped, but also to have your hips and your legs up and your knees pointed straight out whenever you do that, for the leverage of the pull.
Out.
Yeah, like just straight out, because that changes after they stand the leg up, right? And maybe it'll become clearer whenever I explain the next part, and that is that. So we did that, practice that, and it was true. Like if you catch that, now not so much whenever their foot has almost hit the mat, but he had us also close our eyes in that drill, and he said, I want you to feel your opponent's movements. And so, and you could feel it, his eyes closed, you could feel it as soon as they started to make a move to put that foot up, and then boom, you pulled back, and sure enough, even though they had their hands, it broke their guard, or it broke their posture. And I was really amazed, at that. It seems like a simple concept, but it was really not a simple concept. It was high level for me. Listen, I'm sure John and Steve and everybody else has said that multiple times, but I just wasn't ready to hear it. We always kind of say that.
Yeah.
I wasn't open to hearing that at the time. But then the last part of the drill is they already had the one leg up, right? And then they were going to go get the second leg up to stand up. And so with that, you had your feet clasped. The leg that was up, you held that knee in position, but what you did was you made your other knee, let's just say if your opponent had their left knee up, you hold your right leg in position, and then you drop your left knee down to be more on their leg, making you heavier. it doesn't feel heavier from the bottom, but from the top, because we obviously did this in both ways. From the top, it does feel heavier because then once it's that same thing, close your eyes. Once they try to do that, whenever it's heavy, and then you bump them with your right knee, they come down. It breaks their posture immediately.
So it's not necessarily for a sweep. This is to keep the posture down.
Yeah, in order to set up the sweep, right? I mean, you know, and also in order not to get your guard passed.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really cool. It was a great training session, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, those are things I'm not doing because usually, I guess because I think of sweeps in if they're like leaning back, you try the hip bump, but you're more in the guard versus controlling. They're all reactionary, right? Like you stand up and I'll try the double ankle.
Yeah.
Or if they have one leg up, you try a hook. You know what I mean? Versus.
Yeah, but that's a worse position for you, right? In the hierarchy of things, if they're standing up, it's a worse position than them in your closed guard because you don't have that many attacks whenever they're standing up.
Yeah. So. Jeff loves to argue while we're agreeing. It just cracks me up. So.
That way I'll always win.
By doing that stuff, though, the timing-based stuff, to control the posture, you're controlling, where they are versus just strictly reacting and trying to, react to what they're doing and what they want to do. You're kind of imposing the position they're going to be in, so that's really cool.
Yeah, predictability for sure. So I thought that was really cool. I wanted to share it with everybody. Hopefully, maybe we'll incorporate that some Sunday rolls or something.
Yeah,
just little stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it was really a neat concept, if you will. And you guys did something similar, right?
I did the one hand. When you're on the bottom of the guard, you can only use one hand, and changes a bunch of things, obviously. But it's really cool to kind of think about and see what you need to try to do when you can't use both hands. Even though a lot of times I'm not using both hands anyway, kind of do like John says, rodeo hands. I try really hard not to do it, but it's it happens. But when you can only use one, and the other person knows it, I guess it's definitely harder. And then when I'm in someone's guard that's as good as John or Ryan or whatever, it makes you feel kind of dumb. But it's cool to see.
Yeah. Speaking of Ryan Leggett, he wished me happy birthday on Facebook, and I commented that for my birthday, all I really wanted was to pass his guard.
Yeah.
And for him to make it look like he wasn't letting me pass his guard, and then most importantly, because we know if he lets you pass his guard, we know what's coming, right? What's coming?
Bottom of the side mount.
Yeah, that's right. Because he's so strong, he's got that rollover. No, folks, it's not because he's so strong. It's because he's got such great timing on that rollover sweep. I was like, but then let me hold it for at least 20 seconds in that position before you roll over sweep me. So maybe, just maybe tonight.
We'll see.
I doubt it'll
It's not going to happen.
One can dream. One can dream, Philly.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. And anything else on that?
No, I'd like to see that timing thing. You told me he went in depth on timing. You didn't really tell me what you guys did. I'm curious to kind of try that out and see, because I'm still getting frustrated with myself because I stay in the guard too long in training. I need to just go for the sweep, and if they pass, they pass. Who cares? Get back out and try again.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that enough.
100%. I'm right there with you too.
And I just need to do it because my sweeps aren't very good. As soon as somebody is even close to my level, and they know a super basic sweep setup is coming, it's obvious, and they just stuff it, all of them. So, and then I kind of half-hearted try it instead of just kind of going for it. So
yeah, so I want to expand on that. I'm glad you actually said that, because I feel the exact same way. But here's the thing: whenever I do say, all right, you know what, I'm just not going to fight them passing, and they pass, And then whenever, it's so funny, then whenever I'm recovering my guard or getting half guard, then all of a sudden in that transition, I can sweep them. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm just putting this together in my mind, my feeble mind, my 48-year-old feeble mind right now. And it blows my mind that, okay, so why could I do that from a disadvantageous position, but not from a position really where I have the advantage, I think, in close guard. I mean, some would debate on that, whether you have the advantage. You've got a lot of attacks. But why can I do that? But I think the answer is it's transitional. That's whenever sweeps happen, is in transition. And you have a better opportunity for an off balance.
Yeah, and it's the same, well, I guess same idea like when, like the back is there, but I'm still trying to go for like a triangle and like climbing up because their arm's all the way across, you know. I'm not taking the better transition, or I'm not taking that opportunity when it's right in front of me. And I think the sweeps are there all the time too, but I'm not seeing, because I don't ever go for them and mess them up to see like, and I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, I guess, but just, I'm not going to know until I try either. So I have to just start forcing sweep attempts in and seeing what happens. And then hopefully that'll open up to the other times when I should, you know, and I can kind of see a situation approaching to actually have a successful sweep, which looks kind of natural.
Yeah, no.
But, again, I'll decide like, all right, I'm going to go for a sweep here, and then I kind of get halfway, and they start to defend it, and then I just kind of I back off and kind of reclose the guard up, you know. And again, it comes back to that's where I'm most comfortable, and I need to just stop it. But you know, I guess easier said than done.
I think the problem is we're not good at jiu-jitsu.
One of many problems I
Yeah.
yeah.
But hey, that's what it's all about, right? At least we're identifying that. If we hadn't done this podcast, I would have never put those two things together. So good.
Yeah, I think Joey said it to me once. Just don't suck at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to him.
Wise words from a teenager. I know. Right? Me either. Me either, Philly.
That's a really good point by him.
Very good. So, folks, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks to our premier sponsor, My BJJ Nuts. All the guys, Travis and Jason, Matt, they've all been downloading My
Ben,
BJJ Nuts.
speaking of notes, I'm just going to tell you so you remind me, and I forgot to write it down again yesterday. John made a comment to me when I was in side control the other night working drilling stuff to use active toes.
Yeah.
The active word is in my brain now.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm going flat-footed.
Yeah.
So then I have an adjustment second here or there. Just keep that in mind. And
Active
just kind of
toes is
reminding
important.
myself because I've never heard that or noticed. I've never noticed the difference or thought about the difference between the two of them when I'm actually there.
BJJ Brick Podcast did a really good segment on their podcast about active toes that I learned a lot from. I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Okay, cool.
But really good. So My BJJ Notes. Also, Philly, where can they find us?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Jeff's House, Fight to Win Denver. By the way, Fight to Win Denver has the what was it? I think it's 2 weeks unlimited for like $50.
$49.
Let's see. Hang on. Yes, 2 weeks. Yep, $49. Unlimited training. I'll be there for a lot of those if you show up.
Yeah.
Jeff will be there for a lot of those.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That would be a blast. Come train with the campaign. I think you coined that
Yeah.
thing. Maybe we'll get an event together. And folks, we're blowing up on Instagram. We got I'm kind of stupid at Instagram. It says 80 followers and 134 following. I don't know what that means. So we've got 80 followers, but what are 134? Wouldn't we have 134 followers if they were following?
We'll edit this part out, but that means you're following 134 people.
Oh, that is so stupid. No, don't edit that out. They don't know I'm a moron. That's okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was, all right, that was fun. We are not editing that. I want everyone to know. So BJJ Campaign Podcast on Instagram and also on our website. And thank you guys for the feedback. If you like the show, word of mouth is a great way to do it. Share it. Share our posts. Share everything. Get your training partner. Say, hey man, you know, I listen to this marginally not horrible podcast about jiu-jitsu. It's about jiu-jitsu, so we might as well listen to it, right? Yeah. And because we'd love to get as many listeners as we can. That's how you support us. Like, subscribe, anything of that nature. And anything else, Philly?
I think that's it. Let's go celebrate your birthday. I'm going to try to choke you later. So
yeah.
I got you.
You always try to choke me. You try to choke everybody. But yeah, folks, if you're not out there doing something great like jiu-jitsu, should probably be jiu-jitsu. But if you're not, go out and do it. And have a great day. Peace.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Yeah, I'm hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is on. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art.